Okay, where I am now is where you see the little red circle that I've drawn, just about in the middle of the camera frame. And I'm going to hike south and then along Ensenada Bay and then along the bay, and then it'll go north as you see, and then it goes west alongside this road. And I can either go back to my Ushuaia, or I can go, I think, on the road down here somewhere and hike down in this area. This is where the woodpeckers theoretically are, and I drew a call on making this long hike because it was raining. There should be few people. There shouldn't be anybody on the trail, hopefully. I'll have it all to myself, which is wonderful. And the woodpeckers, if I see them, great. If I don't, I'm more interested in the hike. This is the road. All dirt up here. The park's not far away from Ushuaia, about 5 kilometers, I really think. So this is Bahia Ensenada. I'll hike down through here. Just notice these plants, and I just wonder if they're similar to the ones I see growing in the gardens. I don't know. Notice the heavy concentration of moss. I suspect a great deal of water down in this area all year long. Not sure how you characterize this forest, but you can see tremendous old growth. While there seems to be a lot of deterioration, it doesn't seem to be that rapid. And perhaps that's because it tends to be a cold area down here. Don't you love the silence? What's neat to reflect on as I just begin this hike, I can hear water kind of tumbling down a stream beyond those trees somewhere. But it's a profound contrast between this and the cacophony of automobile horns and engines roaring, not to mention jet planes, tear gas bombs, and guns of Cairo. It is a great irony of this year that I had focused so intensely on a 47-day trip to Egypt and all the knowledge that that implies, and I end up here in the woods of the tip of South America en route to the closer to the pole of South America. So this looks like a pile of horse crap, not the horse balls we're used to seeing, and it looks like a hoof print. I didn't know they brought horses in here, and I don't know who does. These little birds seem quite unperturbed by my presence. Here I encounter our first little stream. What a lovely soundtrack for a walk through this quiet woods. From my American perspective, particularly Arizona, I look at this as so much wood, combustible wood for a phenomenal fire. But perhaps it's too wet here for that to be that great a risk. One thing I notice is that other than the fledgling trees that are growing off the surface, there's very little ground cover, very, very small little plants. Otherwise, this is all open with a rather fragile but very high canopy. My guess is that lichen and mosses dominate here. From the tire tracks of the animals, it appears that there are horses here. But then there's something relatively small-footed. See the lower right-hand corner of this frame, and it's a little bit more as we go along. There, an almost perfectly round track of some sort. Here, a monarch and another older monarch in the distance there, in an area that's been evidently cut over quite heavily. That may have been before this was converted into a park. And notice the footprints over there of animals, and I wonder why they're there if they're trained and used animals. They should be on the trail I'm walking. As you can see, this is old cut growth. This may be beaver too, come to think of it. Beaver was introduced for some reason by either Americans or Europeans. No, this is not beaver. And now they're, although some of those shorter stalks may be, and even that one right there. But now they become a tremendous menace. Not menace, but destructive force. Ain't no doubt about this, and it's relatively fresh. See, looking at this print, I'd swear there's a smaller animal than a horse, but bigger than a dog that roams through this area. Here in another open area, an idea of what the top of this canopy looks like. There's some of the rugged nearby mountain peaks, but this range goes back for quite some number of miles, from what I could see looking out of the plain. Here, an outcropping of what looks like, without getting close to it, some kind of soft, chalky kind of stone. I'm sensing that it's sedimentary from what looks like some layering right there. And here's some flowering plant life. Now that whole clump's only about an inch long. That gives you a clue as to how big those little berries are. A brilliant color in this rich green. And a remnant of perhaps an earlier flower, or at least a remaining seed pod. Those yellow flowers opened up in the hopes of some sun. God, those horses leave prodigious piles unless they, like animals, wild animals, tend to drop it in the same place over time. Okay, this trail I just came down is an extension, if you will, from the trail I hiked the last time, where I went up the mountain, then bushwhacked down